time of endless noise and fleeting attention, when trust is scarce and authenticity is on life support, one studio dares to rise from the static. This is the One-to-One Podcast, where legends aren't born, they're interviewed.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the One-to-One Podcast. I'm very blessed to have Felicity Sloan here today from Property Manager Plus. How are you going?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell me about your interests. What do you like to do apart from be great in business?
So aside from work, well, a lot of my time's taken up between myself and my partner. We've got 4 kids between us. So
Nice.
When I have time to myself, I like socialising with friends, trying to get to Pilates when I have time. But we like to get outdoors with the kids. We enjoy caravanning, things like that. Most long weekends we're away somewhere in the caravan.
Awesome. Where do you go?
Different places. We go up to Hillsville a lot. We tend to stick to the caravan parks with the kids because they have fun there.
Amazing. So your family must be loving the fact that summer's coming.
Yes.
You'll get out.
Our favourite time of year.
Get out, do some Pilates, drink some beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
What beer do you like?
Corona. Corona with lemon.
Awesome. Property Manager Plus. Actually, before we go there, I need to ask you about your achievements. What have you achieved? And it could be in business or otherwise.
Yeah. Well, probably most of my career has been real estate driven. Before that, I studied hospitality. So
Right. So did I.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, for 12 months. I don't know why I did that. But
I was a bit longer. I did get an advanced diploma in hospitality management because that was what was my goal. So, and then I guess achievement-wise, achieved my full business license, which a lot of real estate agents don't actually have.
Right.
So my full real estate license.
What does that mean? Like having a full real estate
Basically,
license?
that you can run a real estate company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me about property management. What is that? What is that all about? And why would somebody need property management?
So basically what we do, so say if you bought an investment property, a residential investment property, and you wanted to rent it out to tenants, we would handle all of that for you. So we would be the ones that find you tenants, that lease the property, that look after the whole tenancy, basically so you can have an asset without having to do any of the work for it.
Sounds like there's a lot of problem solving involved in that.
There is a lot of problem solving, a lot of negotiating. We're very much the middle person between two people.
Yeah.
There's obviously, you've got the owner whose asset it is, who's obviously very protective of that, but then you've got the tenant who it's their home as well. So you need to be able to really see things from both people's sides and be able to put yourself in both people's shoes to get a good outcome.
Right. I've got this theory that we kind of circle back to what we loved as children.
Yeah.
So for me, I would love using my parents and their friends' video cameras, and in camera I would actually film my cousins doing all these cool things, and then edit it in camera, and then went on to teaching, did a little bit of hospitality, and then went into what else did I do? Taxi driving, a whole bunch of different things. Did full circle, came back to videography.
Yeah.
And also did 7 years of wedding photography as well. So I guess that was kind of and I was an artist for a little bit too.
Yeah.
But this is about you. So what did you do as a child? Is there anything as a child that you can see as a precursor to you being in the industry that you're in?
I would say it would be definitely my dad. So my dad worked in real estate since before I was even born. So I pretty much grew up in a real estate family. So my dad, obviously for many, many years, and then my brother went into the real estate industry. I never actually had any intentions to. Like I said, I studied hospitality, had dreams that I would do that, went and lived in England for a while, came back, and then just decided I was tired of the hospitality hours. So I thought I'll give real estate a go, and then 16 years later, here I am.
16 years.
Yeah.
What have you learnt in 16 years?
A lot.
About people?
Yeah, a lot about people, a lot about myself as well. I think the industry definitely changed me as a person in a lot of ways. It made me stronger. It made me obviously a lot more empathetic to people as well, because you see people from all walks of life that you need to really take into account, what they're going through, people's struggles and things like that. So, yeah, it's really shaped me, definitely.
Right. And so you'd need to be a strong person because you're married to a strong person.
I am, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not married, but
you're not
in a
married.
relationship
Whoops.
with a strong person.
Sorry, I just thought you guys. Anyway, we're going to cut that out later. Oh, geez. So you're with a strong person.
I am with a strong person, yes. Yep.
Yeah. How do you deal with him? By the way, he's going to be on the next podcast.
Yes.
This will all make sense when James gets on here. At the moment, he's at the desk helping out.
Like I said, a lot of negotiating,
a lot of empathy.
a lot of empathy, a lot of
You know, we're going to talk about you when he gets on.
He's great.
Yeah. So now, who are your ideal clients?
Ideal. So I really love working with, I love basically anyone that's got an investment property, but I love working with people where it's their first investment property, where they literally have no idea what they're doing, because that's my job to help them, not even teach them because I look after it for them, but give them the confidence to know that they can have an investment property and that it's not stressful, it's easy. I can walk them through the whole process and just take a lot of the stress away from people.
Yeah. Do many come to you with bad experiences that have had an investment property before?
Yeah, I'd say probably majority of the people that reach out to me are people that have had their property maybe either managed elsewhere or self-managed, that they've had a bad experience.
What are some of the worst bad experiences?
Oh, gosh, I've had some bad ones. There's been a lot. There's probably the worst ones I see are ones where people have leased privately to their own family members. I had one years ago where she leased a property to her own daughter, who stopped paying the rent, destroyed the house, left the house in an absolute state. And it's just awful because you see not only the property getting ruined, but their relationship getting ruined. And, you know, it's so important. I always say to people that talk about leasing to friends or family, just have that middle person, because otherwise it's so hard. So eventually we stepped in and helped to actually get her out of the property, but it wouldn't have got to that level, I think, if we had been there in the first place to manage it.
And do people go into that situation thinking, oh, we love each other?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll never happen to me. You know, they'll always pay their rent on time. They'll keep it well. But for some reason, I think people often take advantage of the people that they love the most, and that's where things go pear-shaped.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? And what do you do in those situations?
So basically, well, first of all, if it's someone wanting to put their own family member in, we will still check all their references, still make sure that they don't have any concerns that we see as red flags. You know, the family member might not see it as a red flag, but, you know, when it comes to income, can they afford the rent, things like that, we'll make sure that all that's checked. We'll do the regular inspections to make sure that the property's being maintained. If the rent's not paid, we'll chase them up for the rent rather than having to call your own daughter demanding money, which can be really hard. So it just, it's more that professional level of handling the situation.
Or just dropping in on your tenants.
Well, so
because
obviously
they're family, right?
Well, exactly. So just, keeping that distance between the tenant and the landlord's important.
Yeah, and so how do you stay calm? Is that just something that you've been able to do over time? Is work out strategies to stay calm? Like when I get people in front of the camera and they're nervous, sometimes, like teachers, for example, if I'm coaching a teacher, I'll say to them, you know, how do you speak to a student when they come to you and they're all, you know, overwhelmed and frantic, and they speak in that way? Yeah. And they use tone to basically calm down the person.
Definitely.
Do you have to use all these soft skills in order to mediate effectively?
Yeah, and it's definitely something that I've learned over time as well, because probably early days, you know, you'd maybe speak to someone with a bit of attitude or whatever because you're frustrated, and then you realize that doesn't work and it only escalates the situation. So you realize, you know, if you're having an issue with a tenant, that one, obviously take into account why there's an issue, you know, do they have things going on in their life, and obviously be empathetic, but also you need to be firm as well to make sure that people know that you're in charge of the situation. We're not going to let things happen that are going to affect the landlord. So just, it's really probably every situation's different. But I've had a lot of instances where people have been, you know, really fiery or angry. And if I reacted badly to that, it would escalate. So just, making sure that you read the room and handle things appropriately.
And knowing them as well, like knowing both sides, knowing them well, and understanding them. Like you mentioned empathy. So what is, I'm interested to know, Property Manager Plus. So what's the plus mean? Like what's the extra?
So basically, when the business first started, I helped start Property Manager Plus. At the time, I didn't actually own the company.
Right.
And at that point in time, they were doing other added services like building and pest inspections and tax depreciation, which we don't do now. We're purely property management. So that's why initially it was called Property Manager Plus, because it was plus extra services. But now we just say plus because we're great.
Awesome. Fantastic. And so we met through BNI.
We did, yes.
So I'd like to know a little bit about your journey in BNI and what it means for your business.
Yeah, so I joined BNI. I've just ticked over 6 years that I've been in BNI. So as I said, I didn't own Property Manager Plus originally, so I started at BNI before I even took over the business. So when I first started to help grow the business originally, and it was amazing because we started from 0 properties from scratch, and just having people that would refer to me and, you know, trust me to refer their friends and family to was huge. And then the transition, I think, for me, becoming a business owner, going from an employee to a business owner, and having the support of the people in the room to help me with everything that needed to be done with setting up a business, even though the business was set up, but there's so much involved, you know, website, IT, everything like that, and marketing and all of that, that I had the support of people in the room to help me do that. And then obviously the ongoing referrals that I've had from BNI has just been incredible. I really don't, to be honest, do hardly any marketing. I don't remember the last time I did a Facebook post. All my referrals come from word of mouth, and majority of that has been BNI.
Wow.
I worked out when I did a presentation a couple of months ago, I actually worked out the value from what I've got from BNI, and I worked out from the referrals that I'd received that I'd paid for my BNI membership for the next 90 years. And that was a few months ago. So it's probably up to the next 100 years just from the amount of business I've got from BNI, which is amazing. But then also having the people in the room that I can refer my clients to. So obviously we deal with a lot of maintenance and things. So we've got all the tradies you can imagine in the chapter that I can send out for maintenance, and I know they're going to do a good job, and I see them every week, so they're accountable and they do a good job. So so if
you have an issue with with a property, it's just like, oh well, I know I've got an electrician, I know I've got a plumber, I've got a tiler or whatever, just to go in, and that'd be great for your business, for your reputation.
Definitely.
Good for the network that you have, and obviously good for the tenant and the landlord. So it's like 5 wins there. Yeah, it's amazing. Now, I'd love to know what do some of your clients say about you?
I've got a really good relationship with so many of my clients. I think they like that I'm very upfront. They like that I obviously, again, not empathy, that I can really understand where they're coming from. I think landlords like as well that we focus purely on property management. So at Property Manager Plus, we don't do sales. So we are purely property management only, which is something that a lot of people like because they know we specialise in the field and they know that we know what needs to be done to look after their property. Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. Can you tell me what's the best story you have? What's the best kind of good vibe? I don't know, good vibes story, good news story. That's something that's happened that's where you've been able to solve a problem that Superman couldn't solve.
Oh my gosh, you've really putting me on the spot. Probably one of my favourite stories is, I don't know if it's really so much solving a problem, but I had a tenant years ago that I managed in a property, and at the beginning of the tenancy there were quite a few dramas with them with paying their rent and things like that, and I obviously dealt with them, in the appropriate ways and, in a respectful way, but we're really firm on them and got them back on track to the point where they ended up getting themselves back on their feet and eventually later on bought a property. And then 5 years down the track, they reached out to me because they were renting it out and they wanted me to manage the property because they remembered the way that I handled them back when they were tenants. And even though we'd had some issues, they remembered, how firm I was, how much I respected the landlord's investment to make sure things were looked after, that they actually came back to me later on to manage the property for them.
Amazing. That's awesome. Now, we're in an interesting economic climate at the moment, and I'm assuming there's some movement in the property market. And what advice would you give, maybe 2 or 3 bits of advice to people who are new to the market, how to actually go about it?
As in like an investor buying an investment property?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky at the moment because especially the areas that I look after, like Frankston, Carrum Downs and things like that, there are a lot of investors buying in the area. So it is really hard for people probably to get their foot in the door because they're competing with so many people. I guess advice is just to, be quick. If you see a property you like, be quick.
Yeah.
You've got to put your best offer forward, obviously, to secure the property.
Yeah.
But then also, once you do that, just really making sure that you find the right person to look after it, so it's going to be a positive
and
investment.
What should
for
they
you.
be looking for first up when they're looking for a property manager?
Me.
Okay.
No.
Well, propertymanagerplus.com.au. What should they look for? What should they look at? What should they look for in terms of what are the red flags for who they shouldn't go with?
Well, one, definitely don't manage it yourself.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to, make sure you know what you're doing. I think making sure that you're with a company who have been doing it for a long time. There's been so many changes in the legislation over the last sort of 5 years. Having someone that's got experience that really understands the responsibilities, the liabilities on a landlord having an investment property to make sure that their property is going to be protected, and someone that's long-term in the business that they're in. So, I think with property management, there's a lot of burnout, a lot of staff turnover and things like that.
We've been changed 3 times to different property managers.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, yeah. And unfortunately, it does happen because I think that also now, there are some of the larger agencies where the rent roll is not always the primary focus. Obviously, sales is often the primary focus. So, they might have a great rental department, but they might have one property manager managing 200 properties on their own, and you can't offer that level of service because either the client's not going to be happy or the staff member's going to leave because they're so burnt out because they can't physically cope with the workload. So finding a really good balance of, property manager versus property ratio is extremely important in my opinion.
And do you think these ones with the sales departments, do they kind of tack the property management on to just say, we do that too, but it's not, is it usually the case that sales is the major focus and the property management is secondary, or is it?
I think there's some great agencies out there that have, really great property management companies, departments. There are definitely some that see it more as an asset where, they'll grow the rent roll to a level and then they'll sell it off and maybe then start again, and they see it as a, an asset to sell, or they see, obviously, they've got a rent roll with 200 properties, they can sell off all those properties and the commission that they'll get from selling those. Whereas with us, we don't have a sales department. So our motivation isn't to grow the rent roll to then sell your property. So we don't call our landlords to hassle them to sell their property because we want to keep and maintain the property. That's our purpose.
So over the next, let's say 5 years, what are your goals for Property Manager Plus and personal goals?
So I think with Property Manager Plus, I really like the way we're tracking. We grow at a really steady level. Like I said, we don't do marketing. It's all word of mouth, which I've probably deliberately done that because I don't want to grow to a level that it's not manageable.
I apologise for this podcast because it'll give you too much.
No, and obviously I'll always love new business, but I like just growing at a steady pace that's manageable so that it can continue to offer the level of service that we do offer to our clients. So definitely I, have goals to grow it, a little more than it is, and just, maintain it and be able to keep offering the service that we do. The quality,
not quantity.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And what about personally? What's your personal goals?
It's great. Great thought. I don't know. I don't want to retire. I'd love the idea of retiring, but it'd be nice to retire early. But
lots of camping.
I think, and also just obviously keeping my workload and life at a good level where I can still enjoy time with my family and friends and, hopefully future travel and things like that.
Awesome. Yeah. Really cool. Thanks so much for being my episode number 3.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Podcast. It's been lovely having you and understanding more about Property Manager Plus. And do you guys, just quickly before we leave, do you have a slogan? Is there a slogan?
Not really. I probably need to create one.
Yeah, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question.
I like these
you
awkward
put me on the
silences. Actually do.
We're great. We're amazing. No.
Yeah, we're amazing.
We're
Probably
amazing.
most of us.
Call
We're
us.
amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Felicity.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for helping on the desk, James. And hope you enjoyed listening and Bye.
In a world on the brink of cognitive extinction, armed with nothing but microphones, caffeine, and questionable business advice, the cast of The One-to-One rise again. Recorded in the Assertive Media Video Podcast Studio, deep in Melbourne's southeast. Yes, it's for hire. This is The One-to-One Podcast, saving humanity, one slightly awkward handshake at a time.